Claire.
And I'm Cheyenne.
And we're the Rainbow Brigade. So today we'd like to talk about feminism.
Feminism. Go on.
Wow, we're really counting on Maine, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about feminism, and we're not sure how long this video is going to be. It's going to be a conversation between us and us in the camera, right?
Yes.
So we're going to start with our definition of feminism. So my definition of feminism is, I think the first time I encountered the word feminism was when I was like 12 and I was in high school, and I was just like, hey, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? And why do some people use it and so many people have a bias against it? So I looked it up in the dictionary, and it was the most generic description ever, and it was like equality between men and women, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was just like, yo, what is this? This is nice, this is cool. And I was just like, so obviously everybody's a feminist, and I felt super proud and hoity-toity because I'm a feminist, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I know the definition of feminism, and it was super fun. And so what's your definition of feminism?
In general, I see feminism as, like, how do I describe it? It's just basic equality for people. Like, even though it started off as equality between men and women, I feel like feminism is truly something that is about equality for everyone, you know, not just men and women. It's for people of color, for animals, it's for anyone and everything, you know?
It's intersectional.
Yeah, feminism should be intersectional. Just like, let's put that out there first.
Feminism should be intersectional.
Should be intersectional.
But we still need a whole sector for feminism that is entitled intersectional feminism, because not everyone's with the program.
People were just out there not being intersectional. And intersectional, in case you don't know, means that you recognize that different people experience different things in life. So us as Black women who are also queer, we face different challenges than a straight white woman would. Claire is disabled. She faces different struggles than I do. I'm mentally ill. So all these things cause different experiences, and intersectionality recognizes that those differences affect us. So basically, intersectional feminism is just like, we're different, but we all deserve rights, like at the very base level.
Intersectional feminism just means that the world isn't a pleasant place to live in, but we're going to try to make it so. Because the thing that I love about feminism is that the word was originally created by a French dude who called himself a féministe, which was during the French Revolution, after the whole liberté, égalité, and fraternité thing. And I was just like, and then he was just like, wait, what about the women? Which, founding fathers, take note.
Gosh.
If you let the French show you up on something,
especially as Americans,
disappointed.
Especially as Americans, we're just like, we hate the French. That's like one of our main things as Americans. It's just like, we always want to one up the French, but the French were just like, nah, and they went up to us.
I think hating the French is just something everybody experiences, because even the French hate the French sometimes.
And I feel like that's a great thing.
Okay, this is a video about feminism and not hating on the French. So yeah, so it was a French dude who invented the word feminist, because he was just like, you guys have fraternité, which is all about brotherhood, but what about our sisters who fought with us during the revolution? So he was there for them for a short period of time, and even then, not so much. And I would say we could look to France for feminism, but we really can't with all the stuff going on with like the hijab bans, and it's not great.
Like, France, let's like not spend the whole time talking about France in this video.
Yeah, it's gonna take too long. So
we can have a French video. Yeah, just France.
Ooh, yeah, I could get to talk about the colonialism that they imposed on my country for about 300 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna talk about our philosophy on feminism, which we already started, which was that feminism should be intersectional. But to understand coming to a point of intersectional feminism, I think we need to talk about the different eras of feminism, because you had first wave, Yeah, so first wave is like 1910s to 1930s.
What people think of when they think about like women's suffrage, white women fighting for the right to vote. That was like the main thing.
Yes, but also remember it was a racist time period.
Yes.
So you gotta remember that while we are grateful to the white women suffragettes, we must also remember that
they were kind of the worst.
Yeah, because wasn't there that one woman that went, I would sooner cut off my arm than give a Negro the right to vote?
I am 90% sure that was Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah, Susan B. Anthony. Wasn't she also the that went around with a hatchet with a hatchet to smash alcohol during Prohibition?
I don't know about all that, but Susan B. Anthony was on some other things. She was on another level. She was just a little cray-cray. But yeah.
And that was like first wave feminism, which started the whole feminists are men haters, because women were just like, it was post World War One and shortly before World War II, and it was just like, hey, we matter too because we take care of things when you're overseas doing dumb stuff.
Fighting for things that don't really matter. I mean,
fighting for concepts.
Whereas women were at home, taking care of the kids, running things at home, but they still didn't have rights to vote.
Because there were still politicians left behind. So, yeah.
Second wave feminism.
Second wave feminism is usually during World War II. Yeah.
Really?
During World War II.
That's when it started? I always think kind of the 70s, I think, second wave. Is that third wave then?
No. Okay, so second wave feminism is like during and after World War II. So some people would say, so second wave feminism started with like the Wonder Woman comics, kind of. So they were like a precursor to second wave feminism, and they started in like the 30s. So
that's true, yeah.
So that was like the second wave feminism where women. So second wave feminism is very generic.
Yeah,
it's very hard to say second wave feminism encompasses all this, because you have the decades, because you have like the 30s and 40s, which are like Rosie the Riveter, and your men are going off to war, so your women are staying at home and they can run factories, they can do anything, they can run the home and the business.
And that's when I think second wave feminism, that's what I think. It's just white women again, mostly white women, fighting for the right to work outside of the home, because we all know that black women and women of color had always been working outside the home. They've been maids and they've been factory workers, they've been doing things for a long time, but...
Yeah, and it was important to remember that it was the women of color that were at the head of second wave feminism, because without them to teach the white women what to do, like, we would have been lost. Because before, these women were essentially socialites.
Yeah.
Not counting, obviously, the peasants.
The peasants, of course. Gotta remember them.
Sorry, poor white women. America never cared about you. And second wave feminism also includes, like, so I guess the 50s, which wasn't a feminist time at all, but the 50s also, I think the 50s was dynamic in that it was when queer people were starting to exist. So I think, queer people were starting to make it into the mainstream post World War II, and they were starting to build bigger and more visual communities, and we're starting to have like,
especially in the cities,
and starting to have like a visual representation in history, because before that, queer representation was scattered and mainly limited to the upper class.
Yeah, because if you're rich, you can get away with anything, honestly.
So that's why the 50s are important, despite the fact that it's not all about women. So right now we're defining feminism usually on a woman basis, but we're going to move forward from that with the 60s and the 70s, because you have sexual liberation for women and others. You have civil rights movement. You have the Yellow Power movement, because during the 60s and the 70s, that's when so black people were at the forefront of it, because we were just like, hey, stop being racist, we want to eat a milkshake at a decent restaurant too.
Peace.
Yeah, so that was what happened during the 70s, during the 60s and the 70s, and then post 60s and 70s, there were other groups such as Native Americans and Asian Americans that were just like, hey, so black people just had their movement, and we're going to take inspiration from them, and we want you to give us rights also, because we matter and we should be represented in mainstream media. And then after that, you have the 90s and the 2000s, which is third wave feminism.
Yeah, I actually just recently learned that we're actually in the fourth wave, which I didn't realize.
We are in the fourth wave since the 2010s, right?
Yeah. So anyways, third wave feminism was more about kind of girl power kind of phase, but also moving into intersectionality.
Riot Girl.
It
was Riot Girl. It was about third wave feminism was really about, it was writing off the tales of the second wave feminism of the sexual liberation. It was about rejecting a lot of gender roles, rejecting a lot of internalized misogyny and homophobia,
and also like using femininity as power at times.
Yeah. So that was third wave feminism, and then now we're third. Okay, so the thing is, you say that we're in a fourth wave of feminism, but the thing is, I've heard third wave feminism as a post-feminist thing, and that it's still ongoing. In that, the thing is, I think that with the stronger movement of intersectional feminism, we understand that we're at a fourth wave, but like currently in academics, they haven't really recognized a fourth wave because we're still currently living in it.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, I think. I feel like 10, 20 years in the future, people will recognize this definitely as a fourth wave, but for now, we're kind of third and a half.
We're all over the place, and we're confused because we have a much wider reach because with social media, with internet, TV and the internet and our means of communication, things are happening so much faster. So I guess in fourth wave post-feminism, one of the most central movements would have to be Me Too.
Yes, that's definitely like the thing that everyone knows, and it was worldwide, and that really shocked me. I didn't expect people, like, I don't know why I didn't expect it, because no matter where you look, no matter where you go, people will have experiences of assault and, you know, these different things, and so it's not shocking, but it's kind of shocking to me how far-reaching it was, how women everywhere grasped onto it, and this was like their thing, the Me Too, and I love that.
I especially love seeing the Me Too movement go global because despite the fact that it was popularized by the United States, it didn't necessarily start there. I think it was some East Asian country, South Korea maybe?
South Korea and China, they did a big thing. I know that
women in China, after the government censorship, they had the rabbit and the rise for Me Too, and I was just like, that's really cool that women have always been finding ways to just like go above and beyond. Also, in fourth wave feminism, you have to consider the backlash that men, that privileged white men specifically have against the women gaining rights. So you have to consider all the abortion rights stuff happening.
Yeah, that's definitely a backlash to everything that's going on.
Yeah, and in fourth wave feminism, we're getting a lot more queer rights. We're getting gay marriage. We're getting...
And it's like, so I'm sorry. I'm just so happy how many different nations are legalizing same-sex marriage now. It's just making me so happy that people especially like in more kind of conservative or like traditional countries.
Yeah, so right now, today, we're in May, so Taiwan just legalized gay marriage on the day that we're filming this, like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Like maybe a week ago.
At the most. I feel like maybe even less.
So Taiwan just legalized gay marriage a week ago, the day we're filming this, and the Philippines is currently taking votes on whether they're going to legalize gay marriage. So I think that's been really important, but also we have to remember our fellow members in Chechnya who are still living under a very homophobic rule wherein if they are outed as queer or if they are found to be queer, they will be murdered. So I guess we should have a trigger warning for that.
Yeah, even though things are advancing pretty rapidly and we have a lot of great things going on, there's still this backlash like we talked about a little while ago, that people still want to hold on so tightly to the things that they know, the things they're afraid of change, and so it's killing people with the abortion bans that are happening, with the Chechnya thing, with in other Africa, I think it's Myanmar, I want to say.
Myanmar?
There's the killing of Muslim people.
Yeah, and remember, there's also stuff about concentration camps in China
and North Korea.
Still North Korea. Well, North Korea is not.
Okay, but at the same time, America
Oh, yes.
With the kids in cages. Yeah. We gotta talk about that. And also Australia. Y'all aren't any different than us.
So everyone's doing bad things.
Yes.
And nobody's awesome. So yeah, and in terms of that, the fourth wave of feminism has its faults, and I'm sure it'll be well remembered for that. And additionally, for disability rights, have we gotten anything beyond the American with Disabilities Act?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, because I'm not an expert in the field of disability rights, but basically the biggest. So before we left, when we last left off, we were talking about disability rights,
Yes.
and we were talking about how the latest big thing for disability rights was the American with Disabilities Act. So I just want to say before we continue that we're coming from this with a mainly Ameri-centric point of view, because we are Americans.
Sorry.
We do our best to educate ourselves on other places, but again, we have American biases and we're trying to unlearn those, but I still hate the French.
Sorry, not sorry. We're also Haitian, by the way, so
yeah,
we have a reason.
Yeah, that's sorry, French people watching this.
We love you.
Please know that we don't hate you personally. Just the idea of France is not
France.
great. So yeah, we were.
I'm sorry, just France, pay your reparations back. Like, come on, man.
We tore up our forestation. Like, no, seriously, one of my least favorite things is looking at, like, if you look at satellite maps of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, one side looks like a desert while the other side is green. And
Guess which side is the
terrible. Yeah, so French people, pay us reparations, not
for everything you did. Like, it shouldn't have been the other way. Like, come on. Sorry, slavery makes me angry.
Yeah.
For some weird reason.
Yeah.
As a Black American with Haitian ancestry, just I don't know.
Full on Zoe, y'all. Immigrated to America when I was 8. So yeah. So back to the disabilities. So I know for a fact that we as Americans have the ADA, but I don't know about other countries. And right now we're just talking about like physical disabilities. Can you imagine how hard it must be to live somewhere like Italy with all the cobblestones everywhere? Like holy shit. Yeah, like I understand that history and architecture are pretty, but like people have to live. Yeah, and then that's just with physical disabilities. Like, what about like mental disabilities and oh my god,
physical disabilities?
Yeah, and
like,
the entire anti-vax movement. The anti-vax movement is based on the fact that they basically hate people with autism.
Basically, like,
which is like a really douche move, guys.
Like, my biggest thing is like, okay, you don't want your kid to have autism. You'd rather them be dead. Like, most people agree that like measles suck. They agree that measles exists. They know that it sucks. So at least they know intellectually that it sucks. They probably don't know because we killed measles and all that kind of stuff, and people don't have to suffer with it anymore for at least like 2 generations. But they hate autism so much that they'd rather their kid suffer through a preventable disease. And autism, I know several autistic people, like even people with like I forget the actual term for it, but intense autism. Like, it's not.
We're gonna type in the term after in post.
It's not that bad, autism. As if, like, of course it makes your life more difficult because you have to deal with people who don't understand you. But like, I'd rather be autistic than have measles and possibly die.
Like, y'all understand that autism is not a bad thing. It is just a way of perceiving the world.
It's like that's all it is.
Literally
all it is.
It is literally just the input of information is different.
And
that's it.
I have sensory processing disorder, which a lot of autistic people have. It makes life difficult. Bright lights, loud sounds, those kind of things. I hate them. They make life really, really sucky. But like, I still don't have measles. I don't have measles.
That's no reason to choose preventable, death-causing diseases
for your child who like doesn't have any other choice. Like, if you don't want to have vaccinations and you're 18 plus years old, do you? For your child?
Actually, no. Do not do you. Get vaccinated. No matter who you are, how old you are, we invented vaccinations for a reason, and it's so people wouldn't have to die anymore, and it's so we could prevent preventable diseases. Like, they're called preventable diseases for a reason. Prevent yourself from getting ill and making other people ill by vaccinating yourself. Yes, I have a phobia of needles, and they suck. But guess what? I get vaccinated regularly.
And we don't have the measles.
Yeah, that's the great thing about vaccination. But yeah, so exactly. So that's what feminism is about. It's about just making things available for everybody. And if we're talking about feminism, I feel that we need to talk about a very specific group of people, which are religious women who cover themselves up.
So wait, you mean like hijabis or like nuns or like...
Hijabis, nuns, Orthodox Jews. So a lot of feminism was because of the third wave feminism and the whole burning your bras thing.
No, that was second wave.
Okay, so second wave feminism, burning your bras thing. A lot of feminism is based on nudity because for quite a while the female body was a shameful thing. But now...
It still is seen as that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing.
It is a weird in-between. Like, the female body was seen as, like, vile.
Also, like, too pure to be seen by everyone's eyes.
Yeah, but also everybody wanted to see it because naked women, hot.
Yes,
yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah, so yeah, one of the things that has been interesting to me these past few years is that there are women who cover themselves and see it as like a thing of power, and I get that because some days I want to go out looking like a Grim Reaper, and that's powerful to me. Not to say that women who cover themselves up look like Grim Reapers. Yeah, we're in talking about feminism. Some women like to cover themselves up, and that's perfectly fine. But the thing I notice is that when women tend to cover themselves up, there tends to be legislation that goes against it. There's legislation against women wearing clothes, and then there's legislation against women not wearing clothes.
Yeah, like, the free the nipple movement is like a big thing because women or people with female bodies like me are not allowed to just go around without their shirts on.
Yes, and female presenting nipples.
Yes, gotta love those. Like, if you're seen as having dressed in a sexual manner, people are just like, we don't want to see that, even though they do. You know.
But breasts are sexualized nonetheless.
Yeah.
Simply by existence, because you gotta remember women who breastfeed, and they're just like,
to cover it up.
Don't do it in public. It's shameful.
You're feeding your child, but how dare you? How dare you feed your child in public? You good mother, you.
So yeah, this is why we need intersectional feminism to allow us to create a better society in which we don't shame men, women, and those who know better and others for their bodies, for their simple existence. It's to make life more accessible. Like, for example, closed captioning at the movies for people who are deaf or hard of hearing.
Or just they want to read, you know? I like reading. I don't know. I just think that captions make things better.
Yeah, but like some people need that, and you're denying them the entire experience of being able to see something in theaters simply because they can't hear it, and I just think that's horrible.
Yeah, it really is.
And like, you gotta do your best to make society accessible. And some of these things that people with disabilities or people with disadvantages are asking for are fairly simple to add to our current day-to-day living, but people just don't do it, and it's really weird. And so, yeah, so that's what we think feminism is and should be. It should be intersectional, but again, as with any broad topic, you have
nuance.
You have nuance, and you have people who believe otherwise. So we would be really interested in hearing your point of view on what your specific branch of feminism is and why you adhere to that. TERFs need not reply.
Yeah, do not interact. Stay away.
Trans women are women. That is
end of story.
Your feminism should not be exclusionary
to anyone.
Yeah. So the definition of TERFs
is trans exclusionary radical feminist. And some people call them TERFs, like trans women, but I feel like TERFs is better because TERFs don't like trans men either, you know? They think, so trans people are people who don't identify as the gender that they're assigned at birth. You know, I identify as trans, non-binary. I don't identify as a woman. I have a female body. I recognize that. I admit that. But I just don't feel like a woman, you know? So TERFs see trans people as freaks. They think that trans women are they have intense internalized misogyny and they hate themselves for that. And they think that trans women, did I say trans women?
Yeah, you said trans women.
Trans women are women, they think trans men are women with intense internalized misogyny, and they think that trans women, did I say that right?
Yeah, they think that trans women are technically men.
They think that
trying to invade on female spaces.
Yeah.
And it's not a good look. It's not a good look, and it doesn't make sense. Like, if a person says that they're a woman or a man or other, that is who they are. It is not your right. It is not your duty. It is not yours to decide that they're not correct, because they know themselves. They went through and looked at their options and they were like, this is who I am. Mm-hmm. So who are you as an individual to judge another individual for simply existing?
Like, that's all they want to do is just live. Maybe use the bathroom in public. I don't know.
Maybe use public bathrooms, not bathroom in public.
Yeah.
TERFs don't interact.
And I do not believe that TERFs actually have the right to call themselves feminist.
By the very definition of feminism, you do not have the right to call yourself feminist because you do not believe in equal rights for everyone.
And that's just like the base thing, you know, like
that is the minimum requirement for entry into the feminism club.
Just
all we ask is that you look at everyone and everything around you and say, that is a living being and I respect it. Not even they deserve rights. I respect it. You have to start with respect.
Yeah, I guess. But I just feel like if your feminism isn't like out there trying to actually make things better for people, is it really feminism? That's just me. I feel like everyone should be doing what they can to make the world a better place for everyone else. That's just like my personal philosophy, is that people deserve to have a nice life. They deserve to have rights. They deserve to live on this earth and have full, rounded experiences as a human being. And I feel like as a feminist, it's my job to try to help to do that. And if that's not what you're doing, if you're like, one of the main things that you do in your life is trying to tear other people down, trying to exclude them, trying to block them from things, and that's what TERFs do. They try to block trans people from existing in public, from accessing healthcare and equal rights. I don't feel like you are a feminist or a good person if that's what you do. If that's like a major part of your personality is like, no, this specific person, this specific subgroup of people doesn't deserve rights, and I'm gonna actively fight against the rights. You're not a feminist, you're not a good person. Just my opinion there.
Sorry, facts is facts, folks. And so moving on to why we're feminists. Why are you a feminist, Cheyenne?
Why wouldn't I be? Okay. When I first started identifying as feminist, I still identified as a female, you know? I was about 12 as well, maybe even a little bit younger. Even before I knew what feminism was, I was still a feminist, you know? I still felt like everyone was equal. I'd faced discrimination several times before in my life as a black person. I'd faced sexism and all kinds of things, and it's just like, don't like that. So I've always been out there trying to make life better for me and other people. And so I found the term feminist, and I was just like, this makes sense. This is what I am. And so I'm a feminist because it just makes sense. It makes sense to want other people to have equal rights and to have good lives. It makes sense to think that other people are equal, you know? I don't think that there's any specific subgroup of people who are above others, who are deserving of more rights or anything. It makes sense to be a feminist. That's why I identify as a feminist. What about you, Claire?
That's nice, but God has given me the divine right to rule. I'm technically still a queen somewhere, maybe. But when I was deciding that I was a feminist, I said I was 12. So the thing is, it is very easy to say I have always been a feminist and I will always be a feminist. But the thing is, I took the active decision to be a feminist when I was 12, and I followed it ever since. And being a feminist is very important to me because it is a constantly evolving process. Because when I decided to be a feminist, it was when I made the conscious decision that I was a feminist and this is who I am, this is how I describe myself. I think it was around 2010, 2011. I was still a youth.
You're 19, Claire. You can still claim that.
Yeah. So, and I made that decision, and it was very active on my part. And I was just like, this is who I am. I want equality for men and women. And I was very basic in my description of feminism.
We all are. It's like you're a kid. Everyone has like basic definitions of that kind of stuff. But as you age, as you learn more, the definition evolves.
And see, that's what I love about feminism, is that it is this learning process. Because as a feminist, I had to learn and unlearn a lot of things. For example, I remember when I first encountered the very idea of trans existence. The very idea of trans existence, I did not encounter it until 2013. So that was just like, at first I was just like, I don't understand, but you know what? People are people, let them live.
Yeah.
But to be a feminist, I think, to learn and to unlearn your biases and to respect these people for what they are, I think you need to have an understanding of people. Because the first time I encountered trans people, I just went, that's none of my business, and have a good day, ma'am, sir, whatever you are. And that sounds like performative allyship. That was very performative allyship of me, and I did not take the time to learn about trans people because I was 13 and I was not very bright. So for me, I decided to be a feminist because I enjoy the process of learning. I enjoy the process of respecting people and giving people the rights they deserve. Feminism for me is an active, everyday thing that I cannot get over. It is something that I experience when I go home and I tell my mom, Ma, you can't have these restrictive gender roles about people. Mom, I know you read Simone de Beauvoir. I know you love French works. You read the Feminine Mystique in the original French. Like, perform the feminism. Be the feminism. Feel the feminism. The feminism is within you.
It's within all of us.
May the feminism be with you.
No, Claire, no.
Yes.
No.
So yeah, I am a feminist because I think it is important. I think it should be the basis that our society should be based on. And I think it's important to talk about the very word feminism. Because the very word feminism usually, because of the femme in it, people usually relate it towards women. And there are people who are feminism but don't want to call themselves feminism.
You're like, I'm an egalitarian. I'm, just like, okay, so you're a feminist then.
But they don't want to accept that as a word. And I think that is very strange.
It's kind of like the whole, like, Black Lives Matter thing. People were like, all lives matter, so that means that Black Lives Matter. It's just like this cognitive dissonance. People don't want to. As a society, we all have this kind of, like, equality view.
Yeah.
And so people kind of think that if you call any one thing out, then you're setting it aside or you're setting it apart, setting it above or below.
But you also have to think about the historical implications of the negative connotations that men and others have attached to the word feminism.
And that's why it has to be called feminism, because women were set aside and below. They were not given equal standing. And so by calling it feminism, we're letting it be known that women matter. Women are a class that has to be protected. Women are a class that has to be fought for daily. Even like worldwide, women still are a underprivileged class around the world.
We're secondary citizens.
Basically.
We are secondary citizens. We are incubators, basically. It's 2019 and we're living in the first season of The Handmaid still in America.
Oh, jeez.
I still haven't watched The Handmaid's Tale because I really want to read the book beforehand.
I started watching whenever finished.
I think it's important to remember that women are the basis for feminism, because without this majority oppressed group deciding to rise up and decide, so I think it is important to have the word feminism because it honors our foremothers, our forefathers, and our foreothers who fought under the banner of feminism. And I think it's very important to remember all of that, and I think that's why we need the word feminism. And if you want to be an egalitarian, that's fine.
Do you?
Just remember that all of your beliefs stem from feminism.
And I feel like calling yourself an egalitarian, a lot of people use that as a cop-out, honestly. They don't, like I said, they're all as mattering feminism. They don't want to actively stand up for women, so they're calling themselves egalitarian so that they can have the guise of being for a woman, but they don't want to actually put the work in to be for women.
Ah, yes.
And
stop hating women. Drink your respect women juice.
Drink it daily, chug that thing down,
Drink it hourly, matter of fact.
Drink it, just chug it down.
Like, without women, you would not exist.
Be here.
You wouldn't exist. Like, just please respect women. It's so easy because, okay, women are women, period. Women are women and therefore they matter, period. But like,
they're human.
To humanize the idea of women, these are your mothers, your sisters.
You shouldn't have to do that. Like,
I shouldn't have
humans
to.
Are people. They're human people.
I shouldn't have to.
Women are people.
But
yes.
there's still people that need it. So we're going to provide it for them. Because like it's easy to sell to our hopeful audience of people who understand what feminism is and that women are human beings, but for the person that does not understand, women are people too. And it's true.
They're your mothers and sisters and grandmas and cousins and best friends and girlfriends and wives.
And they have livers. Most of them do.
Yes, Claire, they have livers and brains and hearts and stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I mean,
if your girlfriend is
we don't need to deny people without organs. If you don't have organs and you identify as a woman, we respect you still. We just want
you a little bit less because you don't have a liver, I guess. But like,
I mean, okay, let's get off this topic. Okay, so let's close off this video. Too long, didn't watch. So we started with the very definition of feminism, which we included, which was very basic, which is equal rights for everybody.
Just everyone should have rights.
Every single person.
It's like a thing that we believe is that people should have rights, and that's what feminism is.
And we talked, and that was our very philosophies on feminism, and it was just like our philosophy on feminism is our definition of feminism, but we realized that people have differing views, and we talked about the etymology of the word feminist, which had French roots. We also talked about what feminism is and what we think it should be. We covered the different waves of feminism. The first wave, second wave, third wave, aka post-feminist, or the newly emerging fourth wave, which is post-feminist.
That's what we're in right now. You should know.
Yeah, and we talked about why we were feminists in our history with feminism. And
we also talked about how we believe that feminism should be an ever-evolving, ever-changing thing.
Yes.
If your feminism is the same as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even like a year and a half ago, you're probably doing feminism wrong.
Well, you can't tell people
you're doing feminism wrong. Your feminism should be constantly changing as the times change, New things emerge, new things evolve.
New information is found.
Keep that, keep learning. I feel like if you don't want to learn, what you doing?
Do not be stagnant. Do not be stationary. Move with the tides.
The world is always turning, still should you,
The sea is the oldest thing on earth, and it is constantly evolving. It is constantly shifting. Yes, it is. And that is why you as a feminist should be learning, so you can become as terrified as the ocean. Ooh, that's our tagline. Yeah.
I love that.
And anyways, that's it for our show today, folks. Come back.
Yeah, please pay us money also.